All right, let's do another weekend solve video. I know there was some trouble with today's stars. I did solve it with only logic. It did take a very long time, so I'll try to truncate all that pausing and see if we can solve it here more quickly. So, let's go to Saturday. All right, right out the gate, with these two shapes, we can immediately eliminate a lot of blocks, knowing that the whole columns will be contained within these shapes, the two stars in those columns. Anytime you have two stars within a 4 by 1 pattern, you can X out all of the adjacent boxes. And this also helps with these kind of C-shaped shapes. We know that some combination of 4 stars will be contained in these 2 rows from these shapes, so we can also quickly X out any boxes that aren't in those shapes for those 2 rows. I also sort of I always look at sort of curves in shapes, and is there a nearby box that would cross out too many boxes for that to be legal? This was interesting here. If you follow the logic, if this were a star, it would cross out these guys and this guy, and the last 2 boxes left would be here, but those are in the same column as this one. So we know that this can't be a star. Going back to these central shapes here, you start to kind of consider what combination of boxes could contain the stars. So we know that it can't be the two. Let's say for this shape here, you can't have 2 next to each other, so it won't be these 2 inner squares. It also won't be the 2 outer squares, because that would eliminate all 4 of the boxes left in this shape or on this side here. So you know it's going to be 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. You also know that it won't be 1 and 3 on both sides or 2 and 4 on both sides. If it were, let's say it was 1 and 3, we would eliminate the top on both shapes, and then you'd have to put 4 stars on the bottom. So on one side it'll be 1 and 3, on the other side it'll be 2 and 4. So we're just trying to kind of make it take shape. We also know that if it were 1 and 3 here, you're going to get both stars down, and then over here both stars top. So it won't be like down here and up here. So we kind of know there's basically 2 ways those 8 stars could be placed. How do we narrow it down further? If this here were a star, then these 2 and this one would get blocked off, and you'd just be left with 2 adjacent boxes, which doesn't work. So this can't be a star, which now sort of forces the pattern we just talked about to take shape, where it's going to be alternating. Hope that logic was somewhat clear. So that's going to be the shape of those 8 stars based on kind of that deduction there. So we'll cross out any other boxes that touch. Okay. I think that does it. Let's see. Okay. So we're left with a much simpler puzzle very quickly. I like to look at kind of rows of or columns of 2 adjacent rows and columns and kind of figure out like in this set of 2 columns, I know I can only get 1 star here. I could potentially get 2 here. We've already got 1 placed, and there's 1 here in the corner. Can't really deduce too much there. I know, for instance, here, these 2 rows, we've already got 3 of the 4 stars placed. So there's going to be 1 star in one of these 2 boxes. I guess we know that just from this single row. So I can cross off these 2. The next thing I kind of noticed looking at those kind of groups of two, if you look at these two columns here, one of these two could be a star. You've got one star here, that's two. You've got a single block here, that's three, and one of these four is four. So we know that you got one star here, this has to be a star. This is a star in one of these two. So we did determine something here. We can finish off this row. It's not much, but this row here, at either two of these here are stars to make up the row, or this is a star in one of these three. If one of these three is going to be a star, then this one has to be an X. All right, if we take a look at the top 6 rows, we know we need 12 stars. We have 5 marked already. And there's 3 shapes that have empty boxes completely in those top 6 rows. So 6 more stars will come from either this shape here, or this shape here. So 11 of the 12 stars we're looking for in the top 6 rows are accounted for either by the 5 stars already marked or the 6 stars in those 3 shapes, which means only one more star would be in those top 6 rows, and the only spaces left are these two and this one here. We already know that one of these two will be a star, because if we look at these 2 columns, you've got one in these 3 boxes, one here, this star that already exists, and one of these 3. Therefore, if the 12th star is here, we can eliminate this box as a potential star, forcing this one to be a star, because we know one of these 2 was going to be a star, looking at these 2 columns. And that starts to cascade some other things based on what's available, what's left. This row is actually done, so that's not a star. So now you've got one star in these 4. It's going to have to be in this shape, so we can eliminate those 2. So one star here, one star here. This column here, this must be a star, this last one available. That forces this guy, finishes this row. This shape is now done as well. We know we got one of these 2 to work with, and one of these 2 down here. Okay, this column is also finished. So that finishes this shape here. And this guy goes. Got one of these 2. This column is done. So we got here. Boom. There we go.